Welcome to another Arma Tactics tutorial video. In this video we're going to show you how to set your own Arma Reforger dedicated server up using the Soda 3X dedicated server tool. It's going to be one of the most easiest ways you can set up a dedicated server. I'll get started here by just opening up my browser. And I'm going to search for Soda 3X. Now in the search results you will see the Soda 3X dedicated server tool for Windows. So I'm just going to click on that and that will take you to the GitHub site. Okay, so once you're there, you want to look for the latest release, which will be on the side down to the right. Click on that. A link to the web page will be in the description of this YouTube video. And once you've opened up that, you can scroll to the bottom and you'll see the executable file that you can download. Now once you click on that, you will see a warning saying that the file's unsafe. Click the three dots and click keep, and then click show more and keep anyway. Alright, now we have it downloaded. Alright, let's start the installer. It's a pretty simple install, just run through the installer. I let it go to the standard install location, I don't change anything here. And we're done. Pretty quick. So now you can see we've got it installed. We don't need the installer anymore, so I'll get rid of that. And we can start up the dedicated server. There's one step that I can't show you here on this video, and the first time you start the dedicated server tool up, it will ask you to install .NET. I can't show you that because I've had it installed on this machine. Just agree to that. What you will need to do is download it, install it, and then restart your dedicated server tool. Another component you are going to need to download is Microsoft Visual C++. Without it, you may get an error when you start your dedicated server. So jump on their web page. I'll put a link to this also in the description, and download the version for your machine. In this case, I'm showing you the 64-bit version, which most people will be downloading. So just install that, restart your dedicated server tool. So now we can move on to setting up our server. In the top left hand corner we've got two tabs, server configuration and server management. The first one we're going to look at is the tab that I'm on now, which is server configuration. In this video I'm not going to cover mods. It is pretty simple to add mods. There's a button down in the bottom left hand corner, add mod. Once you click on that, you just need to have your mod ID and mod name from the workshop. Alright, so first one we're going to fill out is server name. For this example, I'm just going to call it test server. Server password, if you want to lock your server, put a password in, and admin password is obviously your admin's password. Max players can be set depending on quality of server, I guess. And you'll need to have server visibility checked so that your server can be found by others on the Reforger server list. Now this next part, we need to fill in our IP addresses. So the bind address and the 2AS address is both our local machine IP address, and the public address is our public IP. If you don't know what yours is, you can run a Google search and just search for what's my public IP and you'll get that info pretty quick. Now the next thing I'm going to do is change my ports. Now you don't have to do this, you can leave this as standard. I need to do it because I'm running other Reforger servers. So I'm going to change my bind port to 2007 and my 2AS, which is your Steam query port, to 17789. So next, right down the bottom here, we can select scenario. For the example, I'm just going to go with the official campaign. If you have a modded map loaded, you will also get the scenarios for that. So in this next column, we don't have to change a lot here. If you run Archon, you're welcome to set all that up. I'm not going to do it in this example. One thing I do like to change is my server network distance. I like to reduce that to 800, and I like to increase the server max distance to either 2000 or 2500. So there's not much more we have to do here. We can leave all the rest as is. If you like to disable third person, you can do that here. And if you need cross-platform, you can tick the cross-platform box and enable Xbox and PlayStation clients. Alright, so now we're ready to go over to the server management tab. Over on this tab, I'd probably recommend not touching too much unless you know what you're doing, but I'll just quickly run down a couple of the settings that we do need to change. So first one is max FPS. It's recommended at 60. I recommend just leaving it at that. And at the top there to the right, UPnP, we want to disable that. We're going to port forward. The automatic restart, you can enable that if you want to have your server automatically restart. The restart on game destroyed, I probably recommend not using that right now. I'm not sure if that feature is fully working. And auto reload scenario, to be honest, that's not really needed on a lot of scenarios. They will auto restart anyway. And no backend, so they have developed a way to run without the Reforger backend. It's fairly involved and I won't get into that, but you can look that up if you want to look into that more. Now the override port, we do have to change ours because we changed ours on the first tab to 2007. So we now need to override that and change it to 2007. If you've left yours as standard, you don't need to change that on this tab. Now we don't need to touch any of these settings under port. They're fine the way that they are. The only thing you may want to do is right down the bottom is the load session save. You may want to enable that, which will hold progress on your servers. Now before we start our dedicated server, I just want to mention about port forwarding. So you will need to port forward for this method to work. You'll need to port forward your bind port and your Steam query port. There's too many variables for me to cover in this video to show you how to port forward, but what I recommend is you looking up your router and the settings relating to port forwarding. Alright, so to start our dedicated server, you can tell the start server button at the top is grayed out. That's because we haven't downloaded the files yet. So the first thing I'm going to do is press the download files, and I'm going to create a folder for those to be stored into. I'm just going to put mine in my documents and call it Reforger. You might want to put a bit more thought into that, but I'm not keeping this server on this machine, so yeah, you can put that wherever you like. Once you've named that new folder, just hit select. And what we're going to do now is hit the start server button in the top left and the server will proceed to download all the files into that location that we selected. I'm going to speed this process up. It does take a bit of time, so just make sure you just let it do its thing here. Okay, so I skipped through that. It took quite a while. We're now ready to start the server. So I'll just press start and you'll see the server start up here. So that's pretty much it. Our server's started. It will be visible in the Reforger browser. What I'll do now is just start up my game and we'll load up and we'll load into our server. So if you remember, I called our server the test server, so it was AU test server. So I'll just do a search for that now. There it is. And I set the password to 1. So I'll put the password in and we'll load up. So here we are, we're in our own server that we're hosting ourselves. All the links for everything I've gone through will be in the description. And I hope this video will help you set up your own dedicated server. Like and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy. I'll see you in the next one.